That's a disturbing thing to a lot of people. Like, how much influence do they really have on this country? That's what creeps people out, because I think no one even really considered it before October 7th. It wasn't, I mean, I'm sure people considered it. Nick Fuentes considered it. But it wasn't like it was an openly discussed thing amongst young people.
Right.
It wasn't until we started realizing, first of all, it was AIPAC. It was the weirdness of the New York City mayoral race.
Today, I'm looking at a Joe Rogan clip with Tim Dillon that moves across war, politics, influence, and AI. The key here is to treat it as a conversation full of strong opinions, then focus on which ideas are worth examining more carefully.
It wasn't until we started realizing, first of all, it was AIPAC. It was the weirdness of the New York City mayoral race.
Yeah, of course.
Very weird. Where they were all like, we're going to visit Israel. Like, what?
Well, it's also in direct opposition to the stated goal of the Trump administration, which is to repair the United States and to make it great and to elevate it and to focus on the United States and to not go into Middle Eastern wars, which was a huge, very popular plank of his platform, and to not waste money and saddle ourselves with debt and mire ourselves in these unwinnable wars. And there was such a gaslighting campaign. The Secretary of State came out after the Iran war and goes, well, Israel's going to attack them anyway, and our bases were going to be vulnerable, so we had to join. And then he went, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't really mean that. We're partners, and we both think it's a great idea. And there was tremendous pressure on him to do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, it hasn't worked. And it's clearly not in the interest of the United States to be in a Middle Eastern war with Iran. Tons of Jewish people don't believe it is. Lots of, people from all walks of life don't believe it. But there's an ideological group of people that donate a lot of money and that are incredibly powerful. And they are really pushing this. They're pushing troops and they're pushing nukes. Yeah. They're like, or unconventional weapons, like crazy bombing campaigns. They're pushing troops on the ground. They don't care what it takes. Iran has to be either completely destroyed or it's just got to be a chaos zone. But for the regional ambitions of Israel, it can't exist. So, I mean, again, and not in a paranoid conspiratorial way, because I don't like the victim stuff either, as a bunch of people in America being like, I can't get ahead because Jewish people are successful. I think that's a stupid road to go down. That's a victim road. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it when gay people do it, or anyone, any group of people. I hate when they drench themselves in victimhood. I think when you become a victim, you lose autonomy over your life. It's insane. But I do think there's a fair question to ask about what is the motive of certain massive big donors? Is the motive the strength and prosperity of America, or is it the strength and prosperity of Israel? That's a fair question.
Yeah.
This section is really about influence, motive, and public trust. The strongest way to comment on it is not to repeat the accusation, but to examine the concern. When people feel decisions are driven by powerful interests, confidence drops fast. That's why this kind of discussion resonates even when the claims are debated.
And, like, what about the rest of the world? Like, how much are we putting ourselves at odds with the rest of the world?
Indescribably the worst PR ever. And, people cannot justify, you've got to be a very ideological person to justify, southern Lebanon, Gaza, Iran, perhaps Turkey. This is starting to feel like this is like a friend you have who you make excuses for a certain amount of time. And then your wife eventually goes, they're not allowed here. You can't go out with them. They're a problem. They have a fucked up home life. I know they're fun. I know you share values. I know that you enjoy each other. You've known each other for a long time. But here's the deal. They're not coming to the house, and they can't be around the kids. Because, that's what it's coming down to.
Well, it's even worse than that. The thing that drives me crazy is the negotiators. When they get negotiators, then they wind up whacking them.
They kill all the negotiators.
And
They're
then
killing
Trump
the
tells
Iran
them,
deal.
stop killing the negotiators.
Yeah. And
stop bombing Lebanon.
Is this Iran deal going to work? Is it going to work? stop bombing Lebanon. I think we're at odds now. We're in the last 2 years, we're at odds with Israel for the first time, where Trump is really at odds with them, and he's had enough. And I think he is starting to understand that his legacy will be permanently tainted if he doesn't find a way to extricate us from this war. And I think on the other side, and Vance, again, for all the disagreements I might have with Vance about certain things, he is one of the only people in that administration who does push against the continuation of this war, which is why a lot of those neoconservative donors try to destroy him because of that. I don't love his tech alliances. There's a lot of things I don't like about him. But there's a lot of things I think are good about him. I think and it's not like I don't like about him per se. I worry about, some of his relationships.
How many of these relationships do you think are like necessary for survival?
I'm sure all of them are, and that doesn't mean but they still need to be criticized and looked at.
Oh yeah,
and they 100%.
Oh, not justifying it at all, but I'm
totally
saying I have a feeling like no completely autonomous person is ever going to make it through that maze.
Never. But I think the job is you turn the heat up enough where maybe if everyone's going to do 10 horrible things, they do 2.
Right.
So I think it's certainly the job of anyone who looks at this stuff to look at it and go, yeah, what is going on? What is happening?
What stands out here is the frustration with how alliances get defended, even when the costs keep rising. The conversation becomes less about one event and more about political tolerance. How much damage do people accept before they stop making excuses? That is the real question underneath this whole section.
Well, this is also the problem with the justification of what happened in Gaza. When people will try to say Israel, like Gad was saying, they're doing the best they can. Like, look at the drone footage. Fly over that. If that's the best you can do, that's crazy. Like, it's better. Is that better than a nuke? Because I don't think it is. It's like it's
inhumane.
It looks like the damage of a nuke just spread out over 2 years instead of one blast.
It's inhumane. It's evil. It's children being killed. It's mothers being killed in front of their children. And by the way, October 7th was inhumane, but I shouldn't have to keep doing that.
Of course you shouldn't have to do that, but it's also October 7th. The people that got killed, those were the ravers, right?
Right.
So those are the people that were anti-Netanyahu.
Totally.
Those are not the people that were
They also killed, I think, probably a lot of, they dragged people out of their houses.
Oh, they killed a ton of people that
it's
were
a bad situation there.
Like, it's also like, why did it take so long to respond to that?
Well, this is another very interesting, very important question.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that say it's a state the size of New Jersey, and the security failures they're pretty wild, and there hasn't been a real investigation into them, and Netanyahu's kind of prevented that, and they've kind of made it illegal to question that in Israel. Like, people were writing about that and going, "What the hell is going on?" But
it's illegal.
Well, they've made a law, and you can look this up, about things like this in Israel, because during wartime, they haven't had an election. Have they had an election?
No.
Since October 7th?
No. Right?
Right. They haven't had an election.
Because of the war, right?
Right. And the Ukraine hasn't had an election. Nobody's had an election. So if I'm living in a country and the leader of my country just wants to be in a war forever, there's no democracy?
Well, Clinton said that. Clinton said that about Netanyahu. He said he wants to maintain a war. I mean, he said it openly in an interview.
Right. And
so
then
an
intern.
Power.
And then a nice chubby intern showed up.
Oh, I wish.
And a nice
I could go back in time
intern
before the internet and all these busybodies was around. He was the first guy to go viral.
So, I mean, that's the thing. You don't have elections. You don't have people looking into things. And by the way, that's not the only thing that should be looked into. Look into everything.
Right.
Where are the 9/11 docs? What happened?
Right.
Can we know? Why can't we know anything?
This is the most emotionally direct part of the clip. The value of commentary here is to slow the moment down and focus on the humanitarian point. Strong moral language gets attention, but the deeper issue is accountability. Once war is justified too easily, public standards can collapse very quickly.
We're getting information now.
We're getting information
that let us know that the entire system has been completely corrupted for a long fucking time.
For a very long time.
For a very long time.
And it won't survive. It's clearly, can't survive the way we're in. Is it $40 trillion worth of debt?
It's close.
Right?
It was at 39.
No one thinks that's getting paid back.
Yeah, who do we owe it to? Tell them to go fuck off.
Right. So we have a lot of it's China, but like no one thinks that's getting paid back. The dollar as the world's reserve currency seems to have a limited amount of time. I don't know, but this is what's discussed. No, I mean, how does this system survive this level of information? People are not gonna.
Do you think that this whole race to AI, this like Manhattan Project style race that's going on right now, like the future of whatever the United States is kind of depends on us getting there first? Right?
I think part of it
if
is
we don't
that,
get there first, then it's probably a wrap. If you really thought about it, like if China gets there first, if control of resources and
really
everything's shut
depends,
off,
sure.
like whatever, what if it's weaponized?
My
Like,
worry is that in the guise of fighting China, we're going to become China.
yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
I would take the government a lot more seriously if they weren't, potentially having saying Palantir should merge all these different government databases. Mm-hmm. So your health data and your criminal justice data and your tax data all merges. And who's doing that? Palantir. So you go, and then they go, well, China's got a credit score. Well, what the hell is that?
Right.
What the hell's this? What?
Right.
So when Vance comes out and he goes, I'm worried about a credit score. It's like, okay, hey, buddy, me too. What the hell's this? So it's a little bit of gaslighting in that sense, too. They're like, if China gets all this stuff, you're all going to, we lose. And you go, okay. So it's almost like China will enslave you. Let us do it first.
Everyone's going to be on their best behavior.
That's right. Everyone's going to be on their best behavior. We're going to be watching them. You heard that quote.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be on their best behavior. This is what the World Economic Forum, people like that, they don't have an interest in you owning a house or farming land or starting a business, or they don't have any interest in that. It does not serve them at all. It did for a while, but their economic projection is that that's not going to be possible for you. So what they're going to do, they're building bunkers, they're hoarding all the wealth, and they're heavily invested in all this AI. And one of the reasons I think that we have to strike a deal with Iran is all this UAE money props up Hollywood, all these startups. It props up all the AI, a lot of it. A lot of that money is coming from Qatar and the UAE. And our bases are getting blown off the earth in those countries. Those countries are getting attacked because of this war. And they're a huge financier of American startups and some AI startups. So, like, one thing that I wonder about all of this is just how much this just does seem now to be a high-level chess game about the future and what is and isn't possible. But the only thing that makes me personally happy is that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump just bought an island.
This final section shifts from war into technology and control. That's important because it shows how foreign policy and data power can start to overlap. The fear here is not just who builds AI first, but who uses it to monitor people. That makes this part feel bigger than politics. It becomes a question about the future of freedom. This clip covers a lot of heavy issues, but I think the main value is in stepping back and asking better questions. You do not have to agree with every point in the conversation to see why people are concerned about war, influence, and surveillance. For me, the goal is not to repeat strong opinions, but to understand what fears and ideas are driving them.